Welcome back for another deep dive. It's amazing how quickly things change in the world of global TV, film, and media.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like every week brings a whole new set of headlines, deals, trends. It can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we do these deep dives.
Definitely, it's a lot.
We're taking a look at Further and Better's Global TV, Film, and Media Industry News Roundup from April 5th and 6th, 2025. We're going to sort through it all and pull out the most interesting stuff, the stuff that really matters, to help you stay informed.
It's all about making sense of the chaos, right?
Exactly. One of the things that caught my eye right away was the French adaptation of Cleaning Up, called Clean. It's on M6, and it's interesting how they've taken the basic premise and given it a very distinct French twist.
Yeah, it's not just a straight up copy, is it?
No, not at all. In the original British series, the main character is struggling with a gambling addiction.
Right.
But in Clean, Lola, played by Alex Poisson, is still a single mom working as a cleaner. But her problem is insider trading at the bank.
Hmm, that's an interesting change.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if it reflects something about the French cultural landscape, like maybe anxieties about economic insecurity.
It could be, yeah. It definitely adds a different layer of tension to the story.
Definitely. And it's not just the character's motivation that's different. They've also condensed it into a four-part series.
Oh, so it's even more fast-paced.
Exactly. Higher stakes, faster pace, and they've even added a bit more humor to the mix. Claire Lemarchal and Franck Philippon are the writers behind it. It really makes you think about the whole trend of adapting international formats.
Right, it seems like we're seeing more and more of that.
Why do you think that is? Is it just about trying to capitalize on something that's already been successful?
Well, I think it's more than that. I think certain stories just have a universal appeal. The idea of an ordinary person caught in extraordinary circumstances, that's something we can all relate to no matter where we're from. And adaptations allow creators to take that basic story and make it resonate with a new audience by tailoring it to their specific cultural references and sensibilities. It's like a fresh take on a familiar theme.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of familiar themes, it looks like medical dramas might be making a comeback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ABC has The Pit, set in a Pittsburgh trauma center, and Netflix has Pulse in the works. They both seem to be tapping into that same vein as ER and Grey's Anatomy.
Those were huge hits, weren't they? What do you think is driving this resurgence?
Well, maybe it's because medical dramas offer this really intense blend of life or death situations and deeply personal stories.
Yeah, you're right. It's like this high-stakes world where the characters are constantly facing these incredibly difficult decisions.
Exactly. And I think in a world that can often feel very disconnected, these shows explore some really fundamental human experiences, vulnerability, resilience, the complexities of relationships under pressure. Maybe that's why audiences keep coming back to them.
Yeah, there's definitely something compelling about that.
Pulse, in particular, sounds interesting. It was created by Zoe Robin, who actually drew inspiration from her own experiences, and Carlton Cuse is co-showrunning.
Oh, wow, that's a great combination.
Right. It centers around an emergency medicine resident, Danny Sims, played by Willa Fitzgerald, and her chief, Xander Phillips, played by Colin Whittle.
Okay,
And they're in a secret relationship, which adds a whole other layer of tension to the mix.
definitely. And they're dealing with all of this amidst a hurricane, too.
Exactly. So you've got the constant pressure of emergency medicine, a forbidden romance, and a natural disaster thrown in for good measure. Talk about a pressure cooker environment. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate all of that. Now let's move from the stories on our screens to the business behind them. CinemaCon 2025 brought up a lot of interesting points,
Sure.
especially the ongoing debate about theatrical release windows.
Right, that's always a hot topic.
It seems like exhibitors are still pushing for a longer exclusive theatrical run they were advocating for standard 45 days.
Yeah, they want people back in theaters.
But studios seem to be more in favor of earlier digital releases.
Of course they want to maximize their revenue streams.
Exactly. And the success of Wicked is a perfect example. It earned $100 million through premium video on demand while it was still doing well in theaters.
So it shows that you can have success on multiple platforms.
Yeah, I think that kind of data makes it harder for studios to justify holding on to that strict theatrical exclusivity for so long. The industry is changing, and they need to adapt. It's about finding the right balance. The fact that films like Snow White and Mickey 17 reportedly struggled might also be a factor,
Right, maybe those longer theatrical windows aren't a guaranteed path to success anymore.
especially with streaming becoming such a major force. It seems like studios are being a lot more strategic and selective about which films get those longer theatrical runs.
Yeah, they're probably reserving those for the big tentpole films that they think will really benefit from that big screen experience. And then they're opting for quicker digital releases for other projects.
It's interesting, though, because even with all of that, Amazon MGM is actually increasing its presence as a distributor. And despite an 11% decrease in overall box office year over year, they seem to be really committed to theatrical releases.
It shows that they still see value in that theatrical experience, even as they're navigating this complex, evolving landscape. So they're not abandoning theaters completely.
Not at all. It's more about finding the right strategy for each film. Now, let's shift gears a bit. The Hollywood Reporter just released their 20th annual Power Lawyers list.
Oh, I saw that.
It's fascinating because it's not about the stars we see on screen. It's about the people working behind the scenes. These are the 100 most influential attorneys in the entertainment industry. They're the ones negotiating the deals, handling the legal battles.
Yeah, they're the ones making sure the whole machine runs smoothly.
Exactly. And it's not just about mergers and acquisitions. They're involved in some pretty high-profile courtroom dramas, too.
Like what?
Well, the article mentioned cases like Baldoni versus Lively and Baldwin versus New Mexico.
Wow, those are some big names.
Yeah, it really shows you the legal complexities that come with this industry. It's not just about making movies. It's about contracts, intellectual property, all sorts of things. These lawyers are the ones who are navigating that landscape. It's like a whole other world behind the scenes.
And they wield a lot of power, too.
Absolutely. Now, here's something I found a bit surprising. With the rise of platforms like YouTube and the whole creator economy, you'd think TV production freelancers would be flocking to that space.
You would think so, right? They have the storytelling skills, the production know-how.
Exactly. But the article pointed out that they haven't really embraced it in large numbers.
I wonder why that is.
Well, it could be a few things. Maybe it's just the way the industry has always operated. Traditional TV work might feel more secure, more familiar.
Yeah, it's a different kind of environment.
Right. And maybe there's some hesitation about that whole self-driven model where you're responsible for everything from coming up with the idea to finding your audience.
It's a lot more entrepreneurial, isn't it?
Exactly. You have to be a creator, a producer, a marketer,
Yeah.
all of that. But on the flip side, you have much more creative control.
That's true.
So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves, especially as traditional TV work potentially becomes less stable.
Yeah, those digital platforms could become a really important avenue for freelancers. They might just need to adapt their approach a bit.
Okay, let's talk about Ireland's animation sector. They've built a really strong reputation, but they're facing some headwinds.
Like what?
Well, they're seeing a lot of the same challenges that are affecting creative industries around the world. The dominance of platforms like YouTube, the rise of AI-generated content, economic pressures.
So even a successful sector like animation isn't immune to these changes.
Exactly. John Rice from Jam Media and Nikki Gogan from Piranha Bar are two industry leaders who are speaking out about the need for Irish animation studios to adapt and innovate to maintain their global competitiveness.
Makes sense. They need to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. They're talking about the importance of government support, strategic partnerships, and finding ways to stand out in a crowded market.
Sounds like they have their work cut out for them.
Definitely. Now let's talk about Bethany Rooney. She's a veteran TV director with an incredible career spanning 40 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know, right? She's worked on some truly iconic shows, St. Elsewhere, Law and Order, and many more.
What did she have to say?
Well, she talked about her journey, starting as an associate producer, and then using her editing skills to transition into directing.
That's interesting. Shows you the different pathways you can take in this industry.
Yeah, and she shared some insights into her experiences, both the highs of landing her first directing gig and the challenges of working with big personalities, especially actors.
I bet that can be tough.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even at the highest levels, there's always a human element to navigate. It's not just about the creative vision, it's about managing relationships and navigating those complexities.
People's skills are so important in this industry.
Absolutely. She also just updated her book, Directors Tell the Story, which offers practical guidance for aspiring TV professionals. It's great that she's sharing her knowledge and experience.
Mentorship is so valuable, especially in a field that's constantly evolving.
Now, let's circle back to Amazon. It seems like their film division is really gaining momentum, particularly with their focus on theatrical releases.
Right, they had a big presence at CinemaCon.
But on the other hand, there's some uncertainty surrounding Prime Video after Jennifer Salk's departure.
It's interesting how different parts of the same company can be facing such different challenges.
Yeah, it highlights the complexity of running a global media giant like Amazon.
Hmm.
On the Prime Video side, Kelly Day has taken on an expanded role overseeing international originals, in addition to her existing position as VP of Prime Video International.
So it looks like they're putting a lot of emphasis on international content.
Definitely. And there's a lot of speculation about Vernon Sanders' next move. It's definitely a time of transition for Prime Video.
And these leadership changes can have a huge impact on the direction of a company.
Absolutely. Now, the news roundup was packed with executive appointments and departures.
It always is.
Nancy Dubuc, the former CEO of Vice Media and A+E Networks, is joining Togethxr as their executive chair.
Interesting. What is Togethxr?
They're a media company focused on women's sports.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they have some big-name athletes as co-founders, like Alex Morgan, Chloe Kim, Simone Manuel, and Sue Bird. Nancy Dubuc's focus is going to be on brand strategy and investor relations, which shows that women's sports media is becoming a really big deal.
It's about time.
Agreed. We also saw Jerry DiCanio announce his retirement from Universal Television.
Oh, wow. He's a legend.
I know, right? He's been there for 30 years and worked on some incredible shows. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Saturday Night Live, Hacks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's been a key player in physical production, and his departure really marks the end of an era.
He's seen a lot of changes in the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's Kelly Day's expanded role at Prime Video, which we already talked about. Rawa Geber-Ab has also been promoted to EVP and CHRO of Lionsgate, which means she's responsible for human resources across their global operations.
So, a lot of movement and leadership positions.
Yeah, it's all about finding the right people to guide these companies through this rapidly changing industry.
Strong leadership is essential, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about the BBC. They're restructuring their iPlayer team with 3 new senior roles: head of growth, head of curation, and head of operations.
What's driving that change?
It seems like they're really focusing on their digital strategy, and they're even exploring the integration of AI.
So they're trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Definitely.
Mm.
This shift also coincides with Charlotte Moore, their chief content officer, leaving to become CEO of Left Bank Pictures.
That's a big move.
Yeah, it definitely signals some shifting priorities at the BBC.
It'll be interesting to see what direction they take.
Okay, let's jump over to the film festival scene. The Jeonju International Film Festival kicked off with a really interesting choice: Radu Jude's Continental 25.
What's so special about it?
Well, it was shot entirely on a smartphone, and it even won a Silver Bear at Berlinale.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it just shows you that you don't need a huge budget to tell a compelling story.
Yeah.
The closing film is Kim Ok-young's documentary In the Land of Machines, which explores the lives of Nepalese migrant workers in South Korea. It's great to see festivals showcasing such a diverse range of films and voices.
Definitely. Now, what about projects in development? Any exciting news there?
Oh, tons. Jesse Armstrong, the creator of Succession, has an HBO movie called Mountainhead, set to premiere in May.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
It has a fantastic cast, including Steve Carell and Jason Schwartzman.
Sounds promising.
And Sony is adapting Tom King's comic Love Everlasting into a sci-fi romance film.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's being described as a blend of Groundhog Day and Quantum Leap. Lenny Abramson is directing, and Jane Goldman is writing the script. Awesomeness TV is also developing Ann Adams' upcoming novel Racing Hearts into a streaming movie. It's a story about a rowing Olympic hopeful and her coach.
So a good mix of genres and adaptations.
Exactly. And in the UK, Studio Lambert is developing the South Korean competition format, the Genius Game.
Interesting. So we're seeing successful formats being adapted across different countries.
Yeah, it's like this global exchange of ideas. And Netflix is adding Safina Brown, Jeff Pierre, and Cedric Cho to the cast of their crime drama Nemesis.
Okay. And that's from Courtney A. Kemp, the creator of Power, right?
That's right. It's set in Los Angeles. Hulu has also announced a May 21st premiere date for the second season of 9 Perfect Strangers.
Oh, cool. I like the first season.
Me too. They're relocating to the Austrian Alps for season 2. And there's a whole new cast joining Nicole Kidman, including Henry Golding and Lena Olin.
Sounds like they're shaking things up.
They are. Fadi Aboud is set to direct a sci-fi feature called Two Moons in Western Sydney, which will be told through interconnected stories. Tyler Perry's Doing Life, a gritty urban drama starring Naomi Baker and Jay Reeves, is coming to Netflix. And the BBC has commissioned Amanda and Alan, The Greek Adventures, a travel series with Amanda Holden and Alan Carr. At CinemaCon, they unveiled footage from Tron Heirs, starring Jared Leto and Jeff Bridges.
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
Me too. And J.J. Abrams is gearing up to direct a new film in the UK starring Glenn Powell, Jenna Ortega, and Emma Mackey.
Wow, that's a great cast.
It is. And Cleo Barnard is starting production on a UK film called I See Buildings Fall Like Lightning, which will explore the lives of 5 childhood friends.
So a lot of exciting projects in the pipeline.
Definitely. And in terms of deals and business developments, Paolo Genovese's film Madly has become a box office hit in Italy and is already generating interest for remakes in Spain, France, Germany, and potentially even the US.
Wow, so it's a global phenomenon.
Yeah, it shows you the power of a good story to transcend cultural boundaries.
Yeah.
AI video startup Runway just raised a massive $308 million at a $3 billion valuation.
Wow, that's a huge investment.
It is. It shows you how much faith there is in the potential of AI in Hollywood and beyond. Brendan Canty's Irish film, Christie, has secured wide European distribution after premiering at Berlinale. And Spark Media Partners is expanding to Belfast, with Heather Brown as head of development.
Okay.
Thailand is also investing $6.4 million to boost its creative industry through the Thailand Film Archive and the Thai Film Office. It's great to see countries investing in their creative sectors.
Yeah, it's important for economic growth and cultural influence.
Absolutely. And on the opportunities front, ITV is looking for production companies led by people of color and/or deaf, disabled, or neurodivergent creators for unscripted projects for YouTube and ITVX.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's part of their Fresh Cuts initiative, and they're offering £50,000 in funding per selected company. The projects will air during Black History Month and UK Disability History Month. It's a really positive step towards greater inclusivity in the industry.
Definitely. It's important to create opportunities for underrepresented voices.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the global TV, film, and media industries are constantly in motion. We're seeing adaptations, revivals, ongoing debates about release strategies, major shifts in talent, rapid technological advancements, and a truly globalized landscape of content creation and consumption.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but I think it's also an exciting time to be a part of this industry with so much innovation and change happening. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's a dynamic time.
And with all these changes happening, with the lines blurring between theatrical, streaming, and digital platforms, and with technologies like AI evolving so rapidly, it makes you wonder, what do you think will be the biggest game changer in the next few years? How will we be consuming entertainment?
It's definitely something to think about.
It is. It's an open question.
That's all for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.